What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the stream. Welcome back to FPL Today, the FPL Q&A. Thank you guys for joining me in the stream, and thank you for being so patient while I moved address. Please let me know if the volume is okay, because everything has moved. I don't know what the audio is like in this room, so let me know if this is good, bad, indifferent. Let me know in the chat. And of course, what is everyone drinking today? Because it's the first stream, I'm drinking something a bit posher than usual. Some champagne, because, you know, first stream, new house, I thought, or new flat. I thought we might as well make it a bit of a special occasion, see as I'm coming back to streaming. So yeah, guys, if you could let me know if the audio is all good, that would be great. And we'll say hello to Alan Arjadinovic. Nice and I still can't say people's names properly. We've also got Matthew Berry in. How are you doing? We've got JP43 in and another Hoops. Thank you guys so much for jumping straight back into the streaming schedule with me. Was a bit worried that no one would join, because it's been... I think it's been a week. I think it's been 7 days since I've done a stream. So, as usual, of course, if you can, like and share and all the other stuff, then that would be great. Really does help the channel out if you hit that subscription button if you're new, the thumbs up as well, and share it on all your social media. Delay the show, need to nip to the shop for some beers. I've already nipped to the shop for my alcohol, so unfortunately, Gordon, I don't think I can just delay it for you. Maybe one day I'll just delay a show for you, but maybe not right now. Anyway, let's get into some questions before I just keep talking about the new flat, moving in, all that other stuff. You're all here for FPL, and I'm just ranting and raving as I wait for people to get into... I feel neglected. Another Hoops. Why do you feel neglected? I'm sure I said hello to you. If I didn't, apologies. But let's get into some FPL. And I mean, Alan Arjadinovic was straight in with a question. Is Aubameyang a good option? So... I've had a look at some of his stats from Germany. Now, what I will always say is when a player is coming from a different league and coming into the Premier League, I always take their stats with a pinch of salt, because the Premier League is very different to the Bundesliga, to the Serie A, or the Calcio A now, to La Liga, to the French League. So, whilst I think there's every likelihood he is going to do well, because he just seems that good a striker, and it probably does help that he's got a former teammate moving there as well. So he's got a buddy there. Also, there are some people that have played in the German league in that side already. So odds are he's going to acclimatise eventually to the Premier League. I would say just wait for a while to see that Arsenal side kind of mesh together first, because Arsenal haven't been great recently. They've had some decent performances, but they've also had some pretty poor performances as well. But stats-wise, he's coming in with a great goal-scoring record. You've got, from this season in the Bundesliga, 16 appearances, 13 goals, 3 assists, which is pretty damn good. Last season, he had 31 appearances, 31 goals, 2 assists. And then the season before, 28 appearances, 25 goals, 5 assists. So, and then even then, 2014-15, 31 appearances, 16 goals. And then the season before, 21 appearances, 13 goals. So he's been consistently scoring goals at a rate of at least one every other game in the Bundesliga. But he is playing for Borussia Dortmund, who, to be honest, their form has been up and down in that period, but are one of the better teams in the Bundesliga. He's coming now to a division where there are 6 very good teams at the top. And then there are teams that can challenge those top teams just below them. Will he do as well in the Premier League? I wouldn't say he's the same kind of situation as Mohamed Salah or, say, as Zlatan Ibrahimovic, purely because, or Kevin De Bruyne, because those players played in this league before, apart from Ibrahimovic. So we kind of had a clue that they knew what the Premier League was about. With Ibrahimovic, he had just done it for so long at so many clubs. The likelihood of him still doing it in the Premier League was very high. I will wait and see on Aubameyang, but I do like the potential that is there, especially if he leads the line. Does make me question what they're going to do with Lacazette, though. JP43 got 74. Wow, 24 people watching just on my rant about Aubameyang. Got 74 points, even with a -2 on Jones. Well done, JP43. That's a very good return. I didn't even have Jones. I benched Jones, so I benched a -2, and I only got 65. Pope getting that penalty save really helped me out. Otamendi getting a clean sheet. Sterling, Salah, and Firmino, my main performers. Shaqiri was brought in, as was Duffy, for my injuries from the West Ham side. And as you can see, I'm still in the cup. We have somehow managed to dominate this team, 65-33. So we're now playing a run at FC in Game Week 26. And his Game Week 25 team got 63 points. So we'd have just beaten him. He has Sterling, Son, Kane, Vardy. Can't say that guy's name, but he had De Bruyne and captained him. So that was a very good decision by him. He's got Daniels. He's got Jordan Ayew as well. Very strong third striker there. So could be a difficult game. Depends. But I'm on a good run and I'm quite proud of my team so far. How far we've managed to get in the cup. So that's a bit of a result. Wow, you still have Richarlison, Joshua Oram. Yeah, I do. I do want to take him out of my side. But the unfortunate thing is, every time I think I'm going to take him out of my side, there seems to be a more pressing issue. This was the game week. I was sure I was going to take him out. And then Arnautovic had an injury. So I had to change out Arnautovic. Jan Ivor Jacobson, how you doing? Yeah, it's only been a week. You're all saying it like I've been gone for a very long time. Unfortunately, internet cut off Friday night. Internet back on Tuesday. By the time it come back on, the game week was starting, so I didn't think there was any point. So game week over, next day, streaming and a video up for you guys. By the way, when this stream is finished, go check out my team episode. Go help support the rest of the stuff on the channel as well. Wazza, how you doing, my friend? Tommy P is in the chat. How you doing? Desiree Chorija is in the house. Would you swap Otamendi for Laporte? I personally will keep Otamendi for now, and I think I've got a reasonable amount of time to judge whether he's going to stay in the side or not. Now, I don't know what Laporte's goal scoring threat is like, but Otamendi's got a decent goal scoring threat, has been pretty nailed on in that Man City side. Laporte may come in and take over from him, but I do believe the injury woes at Man City could mean that they both play, and I'll stick with Otamendi if that is the case. But John Stones should be back, says he's got an illness, might not be back for this game week, but should be back for the next one. Company, you never know, although he's not down as injured. By the way, I haven't watched the games, the FA Cup games or the Tuesday-Wednesday games, so I have no idea about starting lineups as well. Apologies, but that's just how busy I've been. I wouldn't swap him yet. What I would do is I'd wait and see where Laporte fits in, if he plays more advanced, if he gets more shots on goal, all that kind of stuff. And if that is the case, then I'd bring him in if he was cheaper. If he's more expensive and it's very similar, their attacking threat, they're both going to get similar clean sheet points. The only other thing would be if he gets more bonus points. As far as goal threat goes, he had no goals in the 19 games he's played so far this season. He's had 2 goals the season before, 3 goals the season before that, and then 2013-14 he had 2 goals. Whereas I believe you're looking at Otamendi having a lot more goal threat than that. If we can find Otamendi for this season. This season, Otamendi has scored 4, which is already more than Laporte has ever scored in a season. So I won't be taking Otamendi out for Laporte. Iton AB, what do you think of Callum Wilson? I think it's time to bring him in, if you haven't brought him in already. Bournemouth have Stoke, Huddersfield, Newcastle, Leicester in the next 4. It is then Spurs, but then I'm pretty sure after that they have a very good fixture list. I'm thinking Abraham out for Wilson or Ayew. Now, they both have good fixtures, but Bournemouth seem to be a side with more attacking threat, and Wilson can get assists as well as goals, whereas Ayew is mainly getting goals. But if we look at the fixtures, apart from that Spurs game, there's another 3 easy ones. Then there is a 2-week period, but I'll probably be wildcarding somewhere here. So that won't be a massive issue for me. And then it's a decent end to the season if they've still got something to play for. So I do like the look of Callum Wilson right now. I will say that. I will stick my neck out and say Callum Wilson is a good bet. I can do Son to Sanchez for free this week. In your opinion, are there any other options though? Right now, there's literally, if you watch my Another Hoops, if you watch my team episode, there's no midfielder that stands out for me. The one that would stand out if Tottenham had decent fixtures would be Son. He's the one to me that has the potential for points the highest. I'm of course assuming you've got Sterling and Salah. Those are the two that I think you have to have. De Bruyne is a decent shout. Any Man City midfielder is a decent shout. If you don't have Salah, Mane is a decent shout. But I'm presuming you have Liverpool coverage and you have Man City coverage. Outside of those two teams, Son would be my favourite. Arnautovic would have been. But Arnautovic is injured and Spurs have difficult fixtures. Sanchez could hit the ground running at Man United, but we don't know that for definite. And to be honest, I personally think Mourinho could do a lot better with that lineup than he has been doing. So I don't know for definite, unfortunately, in other hoops. I know that's not really helpful. JP43, any changes you'll make to your team? We got Pope and Elliott. Now, Pope and Elliott's an issue. I've got the same issue. Pope could be dropped for Heaton. And Elliott, now that Newcastle have loaned in another goalkeeper, probably isn't beating out Darlow and the loaned goalkeeper. So Elliott will probably have to change. Pope, depends. He's played very, very well. If he could keep his position over Tom Heaton, then I would say keep Pope. Alonso is good. Jones is good. Lascelles is decent. Kenny probably needs changing soon because Coleman it looks like he's back. Mariappa, don't really like Watford defenders, so I'd say those two, Kenny and Mariappa, are where you'd focus on in defence. Sterling, KDB, Salah, there's nothing wrong with that, of course. Chupo, I like a Stoke midfielder right now because I feel like they've got something to play for under a new manager. It's worth the risk in my mind with not many standout options in that price bracket. Or Brighton is decent, will return some points eventually. You've then got Kane, Firmino, who I'm fine with, but Dominic Calvert-Lewin needs changing. I think especially with Theo Walcott coming in, I think Dominic Calvert-Lewin is going to struggle for game time. Who to bring in? Depends what cash you've got. I would only really suggest right now Callum Wilson and Jordan Ayew. Those are the two that stand out. Elliott to Foster is a decent shout for the rotation, but then you just got to keep an eye on who stays in the Burnley goalkeeper position. David Knight, hi Johnny, hi the flock, drinking Fanta Fruit. I like Fanta Fruit Twist, that's a nice drink. Fanta Fruit Twist. And angry with Mahrez, what to do with Mahrez? I'd be worried if I was a Mahrez owner. Him going to City showed some promise as far as FPL was concerned. Now that he put in a transfer request, didn't go to City because City wouldn't match Leicester's evaluation, and now Mahrez isn't showing up for training, I would suggest moving Mahrez out for now. I mean, he has been performing despite the fact he wanted to move up until this point, but I think this has got to the point now where Mahrez has kind of been like, well, I wanted to leave, why didn't you let me go? I've done a good job half the season. But I would definitely get rid of Mahrez. His head is clearly not there, as Joshua Oram says as well. Your opponent is a Liverpool fan with no Liverpool players. Was he really? How can, especially with the likes of Salah available, how can you be a Liverpool fan and not pick a Liverpool player? We've got Florin Sander in the chat. How you doing, Florin? And Dinesh L. 60 points for Dinesh. Only Salah was the only goal scorer. Salah captain for me, fortunately. I could have captained Sterling, which would have been better. He was my vice, but I did decent. Hazard or Sanchez? I don't like either, to be honest. I prefer De Bruyne, Dinesh. That's my one hope. If Joshua Oram, if Salah has a great game week, although it is against Spurs, so I think literally this is one of the few game weeks where not having Salah might pay off for him. But if Salah has a good game week, I'm laughing. How you doing, Chaos? Good to see you in the chat. Julia Lloyd, I put Mickey in, Mkhitaryan. I think it's a bad punt. I personally don't like the look of Arsenal right now until I see how that, one, the front three kind of mesh together now, front four, potentially. Two, they've just not impressed me consistently. Man City, Liverpool, Spurs are the sides that can not convince me, impress me most frequently. So those are the sides I'd focus your big money spendings on. If you can pick out a cheaper option, say Iwobi continued to play, Iwobi wouldn't be a bad shout for the value. Chaos scored 71 points. Jan Arvid Jacobson letting us know about the Norwegian players that have joined the Premier League. Sorloth for Crystal Palace and Badu Ndia for Stoke. I have no idea if they're worth looking into. As far as I'm aware, Badu Ndia is a combative midfielder, like defensive midfielder, so he's probably not worth it. Sorloth is a striker, but is he going to just be backup for Christian Benteke? Chaos had the Pope penalty save, nice. When is Heaton coming back? As far as I'm aware, it could be very soon. Potentially, not this game week, but the weekend after. So the 10th of the 2nd is his potential return date. I'm going to stick with Pope until he gets dropped, which of course is reactive, but I don't want to really make a move too early. By the way, guys, Michael Ringsell, if he comes in the chat and says anything, as long as it's not really stupid, you can allow it. Hi, Michael, how you doing? I didn't get tenants, I got champagne. Because I'm posh and I'm from London, and you're not posh and you're from Scotland. And that's not because he's Scottish, it's because he's Michael, and he's not posh. Anyway, Jeff Holt. Hello, London and flock around the world. How you doing, Jeff? Hope you're good. What are you drinking? Gordon Gilbody's managed to get the Peronis in, times 6. Hopefully you don't drink them all in the stream, unless I'm streaming for a while. Jan Arvid Jacobson brought Walcott pros and cons. The pro is he's most likely going to play the majority of games for Everton for the rest of the season, I'd imagine. He's also a player that can get big returns as far as an offensive player. If we actually have a look at his goals per appearances for the last couple of seasons, he's had 5 appearances for Arsenal in the Europa League and scored 3 goals. 2 appearances in the Premier League for Everton and he's got 2 goals. Didn't really have any appearances for Arsenal in the Premier League this season. Season before in the Premier League, 10 goals from 23 appearances, which isn't bad. We've then got 15 appearances with 5 goals. 5 goals from 4 with a lot of substitute appearances. So he can definitely score goals. His shots per game ranges from, at worst, the 1.6, 1.5 shots per game. And it can rise to a rate of around 3. So he's got some 2.8s there and so on and so forth. 2.2s, 2.5s. So now that he's in a side that he's most likely going to be nailed on in, Theo Walcott could be a very good option. The cons are he's at a new club. Will it suit Theo Walcott? So far it looks like it does. So I would say there's a lot more pros and cons, especially with his price tag. Jeff Holt's midfield right now is Salah, Sterling, KDB, Walcott and Lingard, who may go for Ibe to upgrade elsewhere. I'd say Lingard is potentially on his last legs. I brought him in just after he stopped scoring, which is unfortunate for me. Ibe definitely has a lot of chances. I'm personally not sure who the best Bournemouth midfielder is, but Ibe is having the most shots on goal out of the Bournemouth midfield. Another Hoops team: Pickford, Adrian, Otamendi, Alonso, Jones, me, Masuaka. Masuaka needs to go, I think. Salah, Sterling, Son, Albrighton, MacArthur, Ayew, Aguero, Firmino. I like that team, to be fair to you. Sophisticated drinking. I thought, look, if I'm going to have champagne, I might as well drink it from a decent glass. I'm not sure if it's actually glass. It feels like glass, actually. You know what, Jeff? I thought it's a special occasion. I've been away for a week, so I thought I'd get something a bit different. Don't expect it all the time, though. My bank account couldn't afford it. Another hoop, so I'm thinking Son to Sanchez for an easy captain pick and 2-week gamble. That could work out for you, but like I say, I don't like risking it on a new player at a new club so early in their time. However, if you are going to do it, Sanchez is the type of player you take that kind of risk with. Just like I took the risk with Salah at the beginning of the season, Sanchez has proven himself in the Premier League, has the kind of underlying stats and goal-scoring stats to back that up. So he could work out really well for you. Best defender for 5 million. I really like the looks of Ake and Mawson, purely because they've been scoring goals recently, and the fixtures for Bournemouth and Swansea aren't too bad. As far as fixtures go, Swansea have Leicester, Burnley, Brighton, Hove Albion, West Ham, Huddersfield, and then we've got Bournemouth with Stoke, Huddersfield, Newcastle, Leicester. I like the looks of them because they could get you clean sheets with some goals, which would be really good for you. Other than that, £5 million defenders. Is there anyone I'd just suggest for clean sheets? I mean, if you really want to save some cash, Lascelles. I'm not sure about Newcastle's fixtures off the top of my head. Very mixed, so that would be part of a rotation pair if you wanted to do that. I mean, you could potentially look at Norton, which would save you 0.5 if as long as he's still in the first team. Looks like he is back in the first team, but he doesn't really seem to have the assist or goal threat. Daniels could always turn up with a goal or two. In fact, Bournemouth defenders in general have a habit of getting points. It's just as long as you've got the right one. But I do like the look of Mawson and Ake at the moment. Would be the ones I would be thinking about bringing in if I had a 5 million budget. Which two to play out of Shaqiri, Lingard and Wilson? For the next game week, I would definitely play Wilson. Then it's all about if you think Man United can actually destroy Huddersfield or not, and if Lingard's going to play. If you don't think Lingard's going to play, then I'd play Shaqiri, because Stoke have Bournemouth. Could be a high-scoring game. Wilson and Shaqiri could get on the score sheet. But Man United Huddersfield, I'd always take the risk of keeping him if you're not transferring him out yet, just in case he plays and does really well. George Butler, how are you doing? I don't think I've seen you in the chat before, George. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, feel free to subscribe. And I'm thinking of getting rid of DCL and Christensen with no money in the bank. I was thinking of replacing them with Craig Dawson and Callum Wilson. Any other players I should be considering? For the defenders, Ake and Mawson, I would definitely consider. And then as far as up front, Callum Wilson and Jordan Ayew would be the ones I'd consider there. There's potential, of course, for Jordan to be moved about now that Andre Ayew's gone to Swansea. But personally, the form he's in, I'd be surprised if he was dropped. So those are the players I'll be looking at. But Craig Dawson, I did consider a couple of weeks ago because he looks like he's getting a lot of attacking threat. Pogba is playing a deep role. Who can I change him with? That's from Ali Bakarai. If Martial continues to play, I'd say Martial if you want to cover the Man United side. Let's have a quick look. Because, I mean, it's a high-scoring Man United midfielder. Seems to be started in the last 4. 11, 12 and 10. The problem is, of course, Sanchez. Is he going to continue to play with Sanchez now there? Or is Lingard going to drop off? Was Sanchez going to play behind the striker? with Martial and Lingard either side. There's, of course, Rashford to consider as well. But if Martial stays in the side, I like the look of Martial. Otherwise, in that kind of price bracket of 8 million, if you can upgrade to Son, I know he's got 2 tough fixtures, but as soon as those fixtures are gone, I like the look of those fixtures and that run in general. Theo Walcott, like I've already said before, I like the look of. But the problem is, in that price bracket, there isn't many options. So it's hard to suggest right now. Martial, if he continues to play in the first team, or Theo Walcott, I do like the look of. I'm so surprised at Aubameyang's price. Has he come out in FPL? Shows how much I've been paying attention. 10.5. I mean, I'm not surprised purely because it's a bit like the Lacazette situation. Great stats in a different league. Will they transfer over? If I had to, and I know this is going to act like or seem like I'm doing it with hindsight anyway. If I had to put money on Aubameyang, Lacazette or Morata being the best fit for the Premier League before this season had started, I would have probably said Aubameyang. So the fact that he's a similar price means I'll be keeping a close eye on Aubameyang. Just the problem is how to fit him into this side. But when the wild card comes, depending on Arsenal's fixtures around wild card part of the season, which, to be honest, pretty decent, that will probably be a wild card game, the Man United game. But depending on where the wild card games are, that could be a decent period for the likes of Aubameyang. I'm not surprised by his price, but he is the one I'd consider a punt on as soon as I saw any form. Tiger Rage, I think I've answered your question, but I personally would keep Lingard for a game against Huddersfield, so I'd go Wilson and Lingard. Kenny and Dominic Calvert-Lewin for Wilson and Chilwell. That is a fine move for me. Maria White Wine, me on Dr. Pepper, but conserving my alcohol points for Super Bowl Sunday. I will not be watching Super Bowl Sunday because I've got my first day back at work Monday and it's an early shift. So, yeah. And also Six Nations on Sunday, so I'll have drunk my alcohol points. Well, I drink my alcohol points all the time anyway. But I'd have drunk my alcohol points before Super Bowl Sunday on the Sunday. Is Laporte nailed on? Bendor, I cannot tell you. I've got no idea if he's definitely nailed on. The fact that he's been transferred in, to me, suggests he is nailed on. Or at least he's been brought in to play a role. But just because he's played one game, that doesn't mean he's definitely going to be nailed on. And I'm not a mind reader. They've got Otamendi, they've got Stones. Company looks like he could potentially be coming back. He's not got any injury signs on him. I just really don't know. I'd imagine he is, but trying to predict what Pep Guardiola thinks is very hard to do. Any thoughts who I should swap Mahrez for? 8.7 million. I do really like Theo Walcott and Martial, which I've already said, David. But other than that, I mean, if you've not got Man City coverage, I would, of course, look at Man City. Same with Liverpool. But other than that, is there anyone around the 8.7 that I'd look at? I mean, if you can upgrade, then, of course, you've got players like Mane, Özil. But around that same price tag, you're probably looking at downgrading or upgrading and spending elsewhere. Unless you don't have the likes of, say, Sterling. If you don't have Sterling and you can afford the 0.2 million, that would be the easy swap. Son, when the fixtures get easier, you could move to Son at 8.1, save some cash. How you doing, Jamal and FPL Nim3 in the chat? Can we get some hearts in the chat for another FPL content creator? Dinesh L wants a differential midfielder. Got Salah, Hazard, Lingard, Sterling and Gundogan. Ready to replace Hazard or Gundogan. Differential. So if we just go to midfielders in general, and then we go to sort of by a team selected by. So to me, a differential is anyone 10% or lower. And is there anyone that stands out as a great option there? I mean, Willian has been returning, but he's now got a knock. Same with Arnautovic. To be honest, I'm not sure midfield is where you've really got the differentials. I mean, if you consider just above 10%, why Kante's ownership so high, I'm not sure. I mean, Decore, he has consistently returned goals randomly. But it's difficult. I mean, I've gone Shaqiri because I like their fixtures. They've got 4 decent fixtures coming up. And I'm hoping that, because Shaqiri's been quite positive recently and was doing quite well before Mark Hughes got sacked, I'm hoping Shaqiri gets me points. So that has been my kind of punt, because I've put Shaqiri in my side. If you want to follow me, that's completely up to you, but I'm not too sure if that is actually going to pay off or not. But Theo Walcott, I'm presuming his ownership hasn't shot up too high just yet. Or he's not counted as a forward, is he? There you go, 3.6. That would be the differential I'd probably go for, would be Theo. If that's what I was really looking for. What do I think of Sanchez at Man United? Sanchez is a great player, Michael, which I'm sure you know, and I think everyone knows. I just need to wait and see how they set up. Because I personally, if I was managing them, would have, and everyone knows I'm not a fan of Lukaku, I'd have Sanchez up front. I'd have Lukaku probably on the bench or sell him. I'm not a fan of Lukaku. I'd have Pogba just behind Sanchez. Then I'd have Martial on the left. And then either Lingard or Rashford on the right. Then potentially if you have to play Lukaku, Sanchez could maybe play on the right. I'd prefer Sanchez more central and free to roam the pitch, which is why I'd play him up front, just the same as Pogba. I think if you let Pogba play in like just behind a striker, having Sanchez and Pogba as your like the spearhead for your attack with Martial on the left, I think would be great. It all depends where Mourinho decides to play Sanchez. Do I think he could do really well at Man U? Of course he could. He's Alexis Sanchez. I just have to kind of wait and see, to be fair. Thank you for the sub, George Butler. Exactly, Nim. We're doing it in style today because we've just come back. Got the champers out. Is Son a worry with Lucas Moura joining? Now, the way I see it is the way that team plays, I would prefer either side of Eriksen or Dele Alli some pace. Son has pace. Moura has pace. Is it a worry? Yes, it's a worry. Another hoops. It's a worry that Moura could take Son's place, Lucas Moura, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's Son, because Son's been on great form. I am the type of manager that plays someone that's on form. So, seeing Son on form like that, I would consider, depending on how Moura plays, of course, Moura might come in and not play that well off the bat. I personally don't know who I'd swap Moura with. And to me, you could potentially drop Dele Alli deeper. But we'll see how it goes there. But it is a worry. Do you think Wigwam Aubameyang will be sweet at Arsenal? Arnautovic replacements. I went with Shaqiri. I kind of wish I went with Theo Walcott now. but those are the two I'd be looking at. Andre Ayew going back to Swansea. He did very well at Swansea as far as an FPL asset, so he's potential. Michael wants to know who the best player in the world that still plays is. For me, it's a strange answer for me there, Michael, because I personally would probably pick Ronaldo first if I was a manager and was transferring someone into the Premier League. However, I think Messi is the best player in the world. So that's a bit of a contradiction. But the way I see it is Messi is just a natural talent. Really good on the ball, really good at passing, really understands the game. Not that Ronaldo doesn't have them, but I just think Messi's on that other level. Whereas I think Cristiano Ronaldo has probably worked for it a lot more. And I think personally, fitness-wise, strength-wise, is a better fit for the Premier League. Another hoops, Mora can play in the Champions League because I don't believe he's appeared for PSG in the Champions League this season. I'm pretty sure I read that somewhere. So I think Mora is eligible to play in the Champions League. Michael Ringsell, if you're reporting about Mahrez, that story's a bit old, mate. Transfer window shut and basically Leicester City value him at 95 million and Man City weren't willing to pay 95 million. Wazza's team, Pickford, Elliott, Otamendi, Jones, Robertson, Shaw, Edwards, Salah, Sterling, Son, Martial, Shaqiri, Kane, Ayew, Quainer. Any suggestions? I mean, I don't know who Edwards is. Shaw, I'm not. Is he still playing? Jones, I like, but I wouldn't double up on Man City defence because when they have a bad game week, that's not good for you. Pickford, decent. Elliott, you might need to look at. Quainer is decent if you've just got him there as a cheap striker to play on the bench. So there's not much wrong with your team. I'm not sure who Edwards is. George Butler says the same as me. As far as I've heard, he is eligible for the Champions League. And that's it. Dried up on the questions. Now, I would usually just go and rant on about something for a little bit and then wait for some more questions. But like you all know, I have just moved into this new flat and we haven't actually sorted everything out. If I just move the camera for a second, you can see a lot of bags of clothes there that still need to be gone through. So now I've got to figure out how to... Now I'm way too low. See, that's why you shouldn't move the camera midstream. So there, yeah. So unless someone has a very burning question right now, then I'm going to call the stream here at 40 minutes, which is a very short stream for me. But we have plenty of time to stream in this room. I'm sure we'll have some very long streams in the near future as well. Simon the Bomb says Shaw is playing well, but Jose seems to prefer Ashley Young. Edwards is young, Stoke right back. Fair play. Is he doing well? Let's have a quick look at him. Okay, he was playing, but he hasn't played in the last 3. But I'm assuming that is a pure save money on your bench move. So that's fair enough. Downgrade Otamendi for Gameweek 28 so you can get more funds and upgrade Firmino to Aubameyang. Potentially, the one plus of Otamendi is he's gone up so much in price that you could potentially downgrade him to Stones or Laporte or whoever's playing, and then you could actually upgrade somewhere to a player like Aubameyang or Sanchez or someone like that. So definitely a decent shout, the Chrissy 95. My team value, I believe, is 103 million-ish. But let me find out for definite for you. So squad value is 100.6, but then we've got 2.6 in the bank. which will give me a team value of 103.2 million. So not too bad, but there's people with a lot higher value. Michael, if I did not support Wimbledon, who would I support? Probably Fulham. I think, strictly speaking, Fulham would have been the closest side to me when I was a kid if Wimbledon didn't exist. Thank you, Another Hoops. Remember, like the video. Option for Mahrez, so annoying. The only ones I can really think of are Martial and Theo Walcott. Those are the only ones that I would... Theo Walcott, I'd take the punt on, and Martial has been in good form. So those are the two that I would consider. FPL Nim freer with the FPL facts. Apparently Stones has not kept a clean sheet since being back. So that might put you off of downgrading to Stones. So in the bomb, best way for me to ditch Danilo and Gundogan. Mawson and Aki are decent shouts for a defender to get rid of Danilo. As far as Gundogan, he's quite cheap, and to be honest, there's no really cheap midfielder apart from Sermon. I've always say Sermon. Sermon's a decent midfielder who does get some points. What transfer will I be making this week? I am worried about my goalkeepers, Ben, but I'm also worried about my captaincy choices. If you watch my team video, those are the transfers I am considering. It involves the likes of Callum Wilson, Jordan Ayew, Theo Walcott, Aki and Mawson, and then we're also looking at Heaton, but that's further down the line, Heaton. And what was the other goalkeeper? Damn it. Was it Karius from Liverpool, I think, who I was looking at? But it won't be a big transfer, and I may save the transfer. Jeff Holt, realistically, what ranking do you feel is achievable for you? I want top 10k. That's what I really, really want. The bad start to the season doesn't help for me to go much higher, personally, because the people you've got to beat in the top 10k are pretty good at the game, and you're going to have to make some really good decisions. So my goal is to get top 10k, but I think I may get a lower score than I did last season. Michael Ringsell next season, who will win and why? No idea. I've not seen the summer transfer window. Stupid question, Michael. And I'm talking to you like that because you're my mate. So, stupid question. Move on. Theo Walcott is about to come a template. Potentially. I think a lot of people will be bringing him in this game week. Michael Doyle, how you doing? I am about to sign off, but thank you for joining the stream. Hopefully you catch it on the replay. Thank you, Another Hoots, for reminding me what I said on my video that I only just did today. My view on Walcott, did Wenger not use him properly? I don't think it was that he didn't use him properly. I think he just had better options. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he should have let Walcott go a long time ago. So in the bomb, I like the look of Aki for the future games. So you can take... I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but I like the look of Aki. And we will call it there. So thank you guys so much for joining the stream as always. If you do want to support the stream, there is the sponsor button just down below. You can be a sponsor along with Blessing Arolo of the FPL Today stream. Then there's various links in the description down below. A bunch of you guys are patrons as well. All the support for this channel, of course, helps me make more and more content, improve my setup, which I've managed to do with this desk. So I'm a lot more comfortable now. I used to be squashed between a bed and a desk. So I'm a lot more comfortable to do streams now, and I can probably sit here even longer if there's enough questions. So thank you guys for all the support for last year and the year before. Hopefully 2018 in this new place will be a great year for streaming and for FPL content on the channel. Quickly just look at Michael Doyle. I've taken out Firmino for Vardy, so I have Kane and Vardy instead, because only one of Firmino or Kane can explode. Michael Doyle, I personally think both have been really good. So I'm keeping both Firmino and Kane for now. One may drop off, but we'll see. And that is going to be it. So thank you, Dinesh L. You're a star as well, my man. This has been FPL Today. I've been J&O, and remember, it's all about the game.